Today, what came up to speak about was the topic of sensitivity. And I had a whole bunch of ideas, but Spirit really let me know this is what was meant to come through today. So I am, of course, trusting in that. And so, sensitivity. And the whole thing is that as we rise in vibration, so as we move forward on our ascension path, because as we are going forward, we are rising in vibration closer to our core essence by letting go of what is not us. As we rise in vibration, our sensitivity to energies increases. With every rise in vibration, we have a rise in sensitivity. And this is to the energies within us, but also the energies outside of us. So first we'll talk about the energies within us. So how this looks is that we will rise in vibration and all of a sudden feel more resistance. And we think, I just did this work. Why am I feeling more resistance? But it's because once we let go of that other thing, now we have risen and now we can perceive something else that is ready to let go of. So it can seem like we're not making as much progress as we are. And the other thing that's fascinating about this is that I was thinking back in my life to some very difficult times when I was vibrating very low. And they were a lot, of course. And now and as my vibration rose, of course, I had a new set of challenges at each time I rose in vibration. The challenge was we could say less severe, less dramatic perhaps, but because the sensitivity increased, the challenge, it was felt with almost the same intensity. So what I realized today is that if my old self, vibrating very low, was to encounter a challenge I have today, they wouldn't even perceive it as a challenge. It would seem like nothing, just so easy. But because my sensitivity has risen so much, even these small, subtle challenges seem super intense. And that's just because we are letting go of all of these layers and anything that is letting us know it's ready to be released. And how does it let us know it's ready to be released? Well, we become aware of it and we feel it and it doesn't feel good, and that's how we know it's time to let it go. So it's this very interesting thing, whereas maybe you've been on a similar path to me and you're going through a challenge right now that's perhaps very maybe emotional and psychological, and the old you that had been through very physical challenges would see this as nothing. But because you've risen in vibration, because your sensitivity to energies has increased so much, what you're going through now seems just as intense. So it's this really interesting thing. It's like the challenges, they do get easier, but how we perceive them is very similar. And I say this because I want to kind of release a pressure valve for you well, one, you can see how far you've come, and also not to get down on yourself about what you're going through right now, because you've come so far. And even though it feels intense right now, it's when we take a step back and look at the bigger picture, we can see that the magnitude and of the challenge isn't nearly the same as it was when we're at a lower frequency. So it's one of these things you kind of have to go through yourself to understand this, but I feel it's coming up to share because so we don't get frustrated with ourselves, that we don't get frustrated on our path, that we realize, oh, this is actually a really good sign that I've risen in vibration so high that something so subtle feels so intense. And that's because my sensitivity has increased. And you can think of that as your vibration has risen, so you're holding much more energy, so you're much more aware of how that energy is flowing, is interacting with other energies, etc. And this brings me to when we are sensitive to energies outside of us. This is also heightened. And one of the reasons why I was able to finally have that realization about the hidden anger in others. And so we'll be able to feel energies outside of us more. And I notice this a lot with animals. I just love animals so much. They're so innocent and so pure. And you can really feel that energy when you see an animal. And then on the other side, there, for an example, this morning, I heard a human saying some kind of remark, kind of as a joke, but it was kind of mean. And the energy that came off of that, I just was like, oh, I don't want any part in that. But the fact that I witnessed it and was in earshot of it made me think, okay, well, I need to turn this mirror on myself. Am I saying anything mean to myself? And we may not be saying anything mean to anyone else out loud, but are we doing that in our heads, kind of subconsciously, old programs and thought patterns? Are we doing that? And there's no judgment either way. We cannot do no wrong. It's all an experience. But the fact that it just didn't feel good let me know that to look at myself and say, am I saying little mean things to myself sometimes, or have still some old unkind energies in my body that I'm ready to release? And so we can really turn this on ourselves, because that other person, they didn't do anything wrong. They're just having an experience as well, and they're just projecting what's inside. So when you think about it that way, they're already hurting, and so it's we can have compassion for these people who are operating from that place. So yeah, and because everything is a mirror, we can turn everything to ourselves, because really, once we have released all of what is lower vibrational in nature, all that is out of alignment, we will see what is reflected back is in alignment. And for the majority of my day, every single person I interacted with was loving, kind, respectful, fun, enjoyable. That it was just one little thing I heard from a ways away, but being so sensitive to energies, I picked up on that right away. And now I wonder that because of this introspective work and saying, oh, I'm going to be more aware if I even think something that is even what could have been in the past a joke, but has this element of meanness, of hidden anger coming out. And release that, so that next time I have that experience, that perhaps that person, maybe they say a joke, but it's actually funny, like it's actually lighthearted and is not putting anyone down. So this is the journey that we're on. It's all reflecting back to us what is within us. And as we move forward, as we rise in vibration, which is also embodying more of our true self, more of the unconditional love that we truly are, our sensitivity increases. And so that's why things may feel more intense. And sometimes there is a tendency to feel like this, you want to just isolate yourself. And you know, having some days to yourself, of course, is fine here and there, but trust your inner guidance. And because today was one of those days I felt that too. I kind of just wanted to stay at home in my little cocoon, but Spirit let me know, no, you're gonna have more fun if you go out and you do this activity and interact with some humans. And so it was a little out of my comfort zone, because I've been out the last couple days, and usually I kind of have a recharge day in between, but I trust Spirit. I trust my guidance above all else. And I have learned to always follow it. And this brings up another thing that was on my mind, is that sometimes when our ego is the one who is operating from these beliefs and programs. And as I mentioned before, the ego is a structure, so of course it can be used for beautiful things. But I'm talking about here the part of us that has been programmed. So what I have learned to do is that I trust my guidance and I take action on my guidance. And if my ego doesn't like it, well, too bad. It's just going to have to feel out any old energies along the way. And so that's how I look at it, is I trust my higher self, my guidance so much that even if my ego is wigging out and getting all, having these emotions coming up and stuff, it's like, okay, ego, we're going to just let it all flow. Let all the emotions come up and move through you. And this has really helped me, because, again, as our sensitivity rises and we feel this all around us, we can have the tendency to isolate. But when we align more with our true self, our higher self, and just see the ego and these programs as something we're working through, we can do what we are guided to do and just let the emotions and everything come up as it comes up. And so that's been super helpful for me. And I'm also super curious if you have felt this increase in sensitivity as you're moving along your path. Leave a note in the comments if you have. And then it also shows other people who may watch this video that it's just a part of the process, and it's not something to make us feel like we have to hide or isolate. It's actually our superpower. It's actually, as we learn to use it and to hone it, we begin to be able to navigate the world in a way that we never knew was even possible. Like, to be able to go through the world guided by our higher self, wow, is amazing. That being said, our ego is going to have to let go of a lot of old energies and old attachments and programs and patterns along the way. So let's just let that stuff go and allow it to move through us, allow it to come up and move through us as it does, rather than staying in hiding. And so yeah, and then of course it's good to rest too. So just trust yourself. I'm not trying to tell anyone what to do or provide some sort of thing. The main message here about this is just trusting yourself and taking that inspired action and acting on your intuitive guidance from within, because that is always going to be the best way for you. And along the way, we will have to release what is not us. And if you're watching this video, I'm guessing you have chosen to align with your higher self. You have chosen to let go of all programming so that you can operate as your true self in this world. And so to do that, we're going to have to let go of everything that isn't us. But it's a beautiful process, because every time we do that, we rise in vibration. And yes, our sensitivity increases, but also what else increases? Expansion of joy, expansion of peace, expansion of harmony, expansion of everything we desire. We can feel more love. We can sense more abundance. We can feel the prosperity within us, the wealth, the energy, and it's just so beautiful and amazing. And the more we do this, the easiest way to put it is just the better life gets. And also the more fulfilled we are, the more content we are, the more relaxed we are, the more at ease we are, the more fun we have in life. And so it is well worth it. We just have to sometimes go through a little bit of uncomfort. But think of it this way: whenever you extend your comfort zone, now you're comfortable in a bigger zone. So we have to extend the comfort zone to feel comfortable there. So if we do this even just a little bit per day, or even when we start out just a little bit per week, and we slowly work up to per day, it's going to really make life a whole lot more enjoyable. And yeah, so that is what's been on my heart to share today. If you're going on any sort of summer vacation, definitely check out my book series. And in these books, there are channeled messages and intuitive summaries. And the intuitive summaries are kind of like these YouTube videos where I share insights, realizations, personal examples. But I go into even more depth, and the examples are even more raw than what I would share on YouTube. And so, but it's all in the books. So and with those, you start at the channeling for ascension, and you work through it that way, like a series. But yeah, with that, I will send you much love and blessings on your day, and I will see you in the next one.